So I picked up New Citizen the other day. It's a brand new role-playing sim from Pixel Entertainment. Most of these RP games have always ended up either being scams or massive undertakings by small development teams that don't have the resources, the budget, or the talent to bring the game out, and they're almost always broken, buggy, or completely empty, always promising the world or the next GTA while they're literally still reading basic Unreal Engine tutorials. And with a price tag of $25, $33 in Canada, thanks Trudeau, the question I have is New Citizen different from the rest of these terrible asset flip scam games? The answer most likely doesn't shock you at all. It's a resounding fuck no. Now, in an effort to warn you of the state of the $25 game, the developer has issued multiple warnings on the Steam page, the intro to the game, as well as on almost every loading screen and box that you click getting into this game. Just opening up to the title shows you the same warning about how early this game is 3 different times. Hell, the lead developer posted a 10-minute video leading up to the launch explaining how this game is different than the rest. I get it, it's in early access and it's in a shit state. The question I have in response is, like, if you know this, why the fuck are you charging money for it then? I mean, really, the game is a bunch of art assets spread out in a small urban environment with nothing to do outside of being a fucking mailman or a bank teller, and you can also be a cop, but you need to contact an admin apparently. The problem is nobody is playing this game, and for good reason too. It's a terrible showcasing for Tanner Rosankovic, lead developer of the former RP catastrophe Civil Contract RPG that was seemingly abandoned. Tanner went on to work at Earth 2 for a short while, and he must have lifted the code base for the vehicle physics because this shit is as scuffed as that buggy gameplay was. By the way, side note, I haven't forgotten about Earth 2. I'm over here biding my time and waiting for 2025. See you soon, Shane. Back to New Citizen. Mistaking the two is easy as hell. You play as a bald-headed fuck running around an empty town with nothing to do and nobody to see. Only this time, Tanner surrounded the small map with cliffs that you can't get over because he doesn't want me running off the edge of the map. Fair enough, you actually might have learned something. It's too bad you didn't learn how to playtest your game properly. How the fuck do you have vehicle physics and a driving controller that has over a second of delay between inputs? It makes driving literally impossible to do. Combine that with the terrible server and the desync, I just don't get it. When looking into Pixel further, I noticed on LinkedIn that a few people have been contracted to work on the game, which is great because I feel like Tanner needs all the help he can get here. And from what I can tell, these people are actually real and not made up like his entire dev team was 2 years ago. You guys remember the video when I dug into the team and realized it was literally just Tanner lying about the whole thing? And then when I called it out, he just filed a privacy complaint to try to get the video taken down?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Anyways, this entire game is a shit show. It's terrible. But what Tanner tried to do this time around was get out in front of it. He wanted to make sure he was covered with multiple warnings of being early, in alpha, buggy, and even went out a month ago to release a video statement discussing what the game is, talk about what state it's in, presumably to get in front of this video you're watching right now. And the video is filled with so many delusions of grandeur, as well as a little bit of humbleness kind of seeping through and a little bit of transparency as well. You can tell that he's growing, but he hasn't learned the most valuable lesson about game development in 2024 or current year. And that lesson is pricing your game properly based on what it's actually worth compared to other things in the market. If I were to price this game out to see what it was worth, Tanner would have to pay me. But in all seriousness, in this video, he says things like this.
Unfortunately, many individuals may not understand or grasp the nuances of playing a genuine alpha game, which encompasses several key points. Expect bugs, anticipate features and systems that will come and go, subject to change, and understand that the game will remain in active development, receiving weekly or monthly updates along.
You said that about Civil Contract though, and like, you can sit here, make this video and say, some individuals don't really understand the nuances of early access. The problem is, dude, I think we understand it a little bit too well. And what happens in 90% of these projects is they get abandoned. You have a track record of putting out games in super early states, getting pissed off when people criticize it, and then you abandon Civil Contract. I feel like you don't understand what the gaming community actually understands about these kind of games. Is that this is such a massive undertaking, and you have taken one step forward. You said this has been 2 years of work. Hey, congratulations. That doesn't matter. You are at the starting line of a long marathon to get this game to where you, and I think what the gaming community would want, and they're just not going to do it. They're just going to play 5M, right? And that's not to say you shouldn't try, but don't begrudgingly sit there and say that people don't understand it. They understand it a bit too well.
The development roadmap for New Citizen is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
We're not striving to create something easy, otherwise we would have opted for a simple, single-player game.
I feel like that might have been a shot. But here's the thing. Why are you wanting to make a game so expansive like this? When you are like it looks like you have maybe a couple of guys on your team based on your LinkedIn, a couple of them that I've seen. I think it listed 4. 2 of them aren't at the company anymore. You guys are taking on a task that is so monumental. To get to that point is going to take you like forever, if you can even get there. We could have made a simple single player title. You should have, because then you could actually see what it's like to make a game from start to finish and ship it instead of this again. Shut up. He goes on to say things like if you bought the game and you don't like it, just refund it. He hopes to get you back in, which I think is like fair enough. It's not like you're gonna get scammed if you buy it, you jump in for 5 seconds and realize, oh, this game actually sucks. At the end of the day, get the refund, move on. But my thing is just like, why are you still out here trying to charge so much money for a game that barely functions? Not even 15 minutes into my gameplay, I just got stuck between my vehicle and a tree, and the only thing you had to do was Alt F4. And then when I spawned back in, like, my vehicle wasn't there, like, there's no persistence. The game, like, it's not even a game. It is not even a fucking game. And what frustrates me is when developers use early access and they do the marketing PR gimmick of like, oh, we want to take community feedback and build it up together with our community via, the Steam Community Hub and feedback gathering via Discord. It's all bullshit. The game is in such a rough fucking early tech demo state. You know what's wrong with it, but yeah, you still want to go to early access and take people's $25. But for what? As a product, this game is worth nothing. For you wanting to continually make these expansive, huge open worlds, but like as a single developer or a guy who might have a couple of people on contract, I feel like you need to readjust your scope. Scope is the biggest killer of indie projects, because once you start making, expansive open world games as like a solo or a couple or 2 or 3 guys, you have to start making cuts in places that gamers don't want developers to make cuts anymore. You have to start using art assets from the marketplace, buildings all spread across this small ass map that you can't even get into. It's just the cuts you have to make for a game like this to be able to do it on the scale that you're doing it are so monumental that the game just becomes not even a real fucking game. So I don't understand why this is even in the cards for you in your brain, which is why all of these games that I cover, like for me as a logical thinking person, there is no fucking way you're going to be able to do this. I hate to shit on people's dreams. Go out, do it, great. Don't ask people to fucking support you financially to do it, because what happens to the people, now granted, I don't know how many people have actually bought the game, but what happens to the people that do buy into that dream and then you don't make enough money, you have to abandon it and blah, blah, blah. And we've seen it time and time again. Those people that bought it, they feel like they get scammed because they bought into a vision and that vision didn't come true because of the developer's ineptitude to realize that that vision is impossible. And for me as a logical thinking person, how do you not see that this is an impossible task for you to do? I would feel so much better if Tanner came out and was like, hey, I want to make an RP game, but I want to do it with a unique, say a 2D top-down art style. So the cut that you have to make would be on all of these 3D assets that, again, you're downloading from the marketplace. So your art direction and your art style, they have no direction. There is no style. It's all garbage and it looks very, very bad. But if you wanted to go out 2D, like the reason everyone always points to games like Minecraft and Stardew Valley. Well, look at those expansive worlds. You know, they were built by, 1, 2, 3 people. Yeah, they made cuts where it made sense. Minecraft isn't a game that has the visual fidelity of a full 3D Unreal Engine 5 game that this one wants to be, but most likely never will be, because it would require you to build out your own assets, to make sure that they're optimized and textured properly, to make sure that the performance runs on these large scale. There's so many things that go into it. And these people just always make the same mistake. They jump into Unreal Engine 5, they see the pretty Fortnite video gameplay demos from Epic Games and like, this is where we want to be. It would make more sense if you came in making the cuts and making the, the scope changes needed to do it on the scale that you can, but you're not. You're making the same mistakes. And while you've built all of these systems out from the ground up that aren't, blueprint assets, congratulations on that. It still leads you to the same point, as this game just feels empty, broken, buggy, and not worth the money. So where did it get you? And I don't understand it. And for me, as much as I don't like Tanner as a person, I think he's a scumbag, I still want to see the person succeed as a developer, because we need more indie developers in this space succeeding. And you're setting yourself up for failure, and you're taking the people that buy into that dream along the ride for that failure. And I just don't get it. Anyways, guys, this broken, buggy tech demo ended up exactly what I said it was going to end up 2 fucking years ago, when Tanner was lying about a bunch of stuff. I'm pretty sure Tanner has DM'd me on Twitter throughout the past couple years, wanting to put the past behind him. I never responded to the messages, and I went back to my Twitter. He must have deleted them because I don't have them anymore. But he reached out and he was just like, yo, I have learned a lot. I want to move forward and take this game development shit seriously. And then, with this video that he puts out, kind of all but, removing all of the responsibility off of him for charging $25 for a game that wouldn't even be classified under early access. I'm curious to see where this game's going to end up in the next 3 years. If I go back on his previous games and his previous history, I would say it's probably not going to get too far. But if it does, great. Do I think it will? No, absolutely not. And I think you should just avoid it, simply because of who this guy is and what he has done in the past. But if you guys do want to check it out, I'm not going to have it linked down below because he can go fuck himself. All of my socials are down below. Leave a like on the video if you guys enjoyed it. My name is Big Fry, and I'll see you on the next one.